What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Bones, Season 11, Episode 20, The Stiff and the Cliff. Coming off the last episode, I wasn't sure what to expect. You know, they've had a couple good episodes this season, and in the following episode, it was like they didn't take advantage of that momentum. They just sort of cut off, okay, now let's go back to our stupid old stuff. And watching the first, few minutes of this and getting the premise, I was like, okay, this has promise. You know, I like the setup. You know, you've got a guy who disappeared a while ago and now he's turned up dead. It's like, is it him? It is. And then all of a sudden we find out that Clark was on that mission, but he never told anybody about it. And there's so many different possibilities that they could have taken with it. And I guess they didn't go the worst route, which would have been if the snarky, the jerk, the one that wrote the book, if he had been the one who had done it, that would have been probably my least favorite route, because then it's just like, oh, the obvious guy did it. It wasn't straightforward, but at the same time, I don't know. I think back in the first few seasons, you know, they were willing to take some chances. They were willing to take some risks. You know, you had Bones' father, who was a criminal. You had Booth going through some stuff. You had one of the squints getting killed off. You had Zach Addy turning out to be the guy who helped the main serial killer for that season. They took some chances that they haven't really taken in a long time. Like, even Sweets' death was still kind of just, yeah, it was a chance, but it was sort of out of nowhere. It felt forced. Like, oh no, we need to do something to save our show. Let's kill off one of the main characters. They haven't really done anything that's really been holy crap recently. You know, it's just been all, oh, okay. And this felt like maybe a chance for them to do something. Like, maybe Clark was involved somehow. Maybe maybe he wasn't the murderer, but maybe he helped the murderer cover it up or something insane like that. But no, his biggest crime was he falsified some evidence because he had a thing for his teacher. And that was pretty much it. That was the only thing he did wrong on this, and that's the only reason that he didn't tell him. And ultimately, it leads to, oh, I'm going to resign. Oh, no, you're not. You're staying. At least that's what I think happened at the end. I kind of lost focus after he said, I tendered my resignation, I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. And then after that, I saw them hugging, and I'm like, wait, is he staying or not? I lost focus. Anyway, but the rest of the case itself was fairly interesting. You know, they had to go off of a lot of information that was very old. You know, most of the time you've got fresh information. The only thing that's normally blocking them is some idiots, like in the last episode where, oh, look, it's a dead body. Hey, yeah, it's a dead body. We go, we cut off his head. Run. You know, idiots like that. That's the only thing that really affects their science. This one, it's actually a case that happened a long time ago, so that's what they have to deal with. They have to deal with, okay, not everything is fresh. We have to deal with some stuff that's very old. The final piece of evidence that they use to catch the killer ends up being because the brain was so shriveled from the cold that whenever you heat it back up and it expands, the evidence may not be in the section of the brain that you were expecting. So that's kind of interesting, and the scientist in me, which not really much of one, but the part of me that really enjoys the science of the show, and that's really all that's left anymore because a lot of what made the show great at first is gone. I enjoyed that part. But the case itself was not as straightforward as I was expecting. You know, they had they had a very limited amount of suspects. So you had pretty much all the scientists involved and the one lady that was flying the helicopter. And I will admit they did tell a very good case with this one. You know, it wasn't, oh, it's this guy, the obvious criminal, and it wasn't, oh, it was this guy who we haven't talked to yet. No, it was a woman who they talked to already. You know, we found out something about her. We found out that she had falsified something, and then came to realize even later that, oh, it's because of this guy who made it look like the bones were what they weren't supposed to be, and that affected her career, and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, long story short, the case itself was a lot better than I was expecting. And, you know, they've done a pretty good job over these past couple episodes. It hasn't been a lot of what the original show started out as. It's still kind of caught up in a lot of the stupid stuff that I feel like the show has become now. I mean, Cam with her sister out in wedding shopping just made me want to punch somebody. Like, really? You can't do this, like, off to the side. It has to be, like, a big part of the episode. Like, if it had just been, oh, so we're going to come over here to Cam and her sister are going shopping, and then Cam comes back later, and, oh, yeah, you know, she's planning my wedding for me, and I don't like a lot of what she's doing. Well, tell her. That would have been different. But to actually cut away to where Cam is trying on wedding dresses, and she's sitting there like twirling and I'm like, we are taking time away from a case that's actually interesting to watch this right now. Like, do you realize that? The show just doesn't understand sometimes how frustrating it can be. Because honestly, like, as I'm watching, it really feels very jarring to, we're watching the case, cut away to Cam, now she's trying on wedding dresses, and that takes about a good 5 minutes. It really takes away from the case, and it's kind of frustrating that they are still making mistakes like that. So, you know, not a huge gripe, nothing that really makes this episode terrible, but it is still very distracting, and it does make it not a great episode. It makes it just another average episode, which is actually a good episode this season, because average is kind of the status quo. Well, no, bad is kind of the status quo now. Average is actually good. The other thing, just worth mentioning because this is a review, what was up with that one lady who was the helicopter? What was up with that accent? Like, God, that was worse than Holly Berry, A Storm. You know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't tell if she was American or if she was from Africa or if she was from Alaska. All over the place. Anyway, just minor gripes. Yeah, I think that's about it for this episode. Just overall, but that's become a better version of the show. So, 2 episodes left for the season. Hopefully they could step it up for the 12th season. Hopefully they don't leave it on some stupid cliffhanger that makes me go, ugh, I have to come back and watch this. Then anyway, those are my thoughts on this episode. Let me know what you think down below. What would you like to see them do in the final 2 episodes as well? Hopefully, I highly doubt we're not going to get any more of that serial killer they were talking about in a few episodes ago. I feel like we're probably going to get something about him. We still have Aubrey's dad involved somehow. You know, he's in town, so I feel like they've got 2 different stories to tell. Maybe it'll connect. Maybe they'll just have 2 completely separate stories that really, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do, but hopefully they got a good idea in mind. Hopefully it's not some stupid cliffhanger that just, oh, come back and watch next season, guys, it's crazy. I hate those type of cliffhangers. So yeah, let me know what you think they're going to do. Leave a like and subscribe for future Bones reviews, and I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.